Next, we look at the forefront of research to improve the lives of people living with paralysis. Finding a way to bridge the severed connections between their brains and their limbs remains an urgent but often elusive goal for researchers. As Miles O'Brien reports, they are making steady progress, and they have a good feeling about restoring some people's sense of touch. This is the latest in our Breakthroughs series on invention and innovation.
Austin Beggin was 22 when his life changed in an instant. A dive into some shallow water left him with a broken neck between the C3 and C4 vertebrae.
At that level, you're talking about breathing, you're talking about swallowing, you're talking about pretty much everything that comes with it as far as how severe of an injury it is.
When he first started living with quadriplegia, he imagined himself getting better.
Hey, Austin. How you doing, man?
Good, Bob, how are you?
Yeah, great. Come on in.
You're always thinking you're going to wake up the next day and it's just going to come back. 3 months with really no motor gains kind of set in like, okay, this might be more of a long haul.
Now 6 years since his injury, he is a volunteer participant in a groundbreaking project aimed at changing the long haul for people with paralysis. The big goal is to find a way for them to move their hands and regain sensations of touch. Austin Beggin is just getting started moving his hand for the first time since his injury.
It really is remarkable that these little wires coming out of my arm, you know, are allowing something like this to happen.
What does that feel like?
Just the fact of feeling the arm move is the remarkable part of it. I mean, I could do this all day, just have it go up and down, up and down.
It's a project run by Cleveland's pioneering Functional Electrical Stimulation Center, part of the Lewis Stokes VA Medical Center. For 30 years, they have been innovating technology that restores function for people with paralysis.
We are presently trying to understand the underlying mechanisms of the brain that relate to movement and also sensation. Also, I'm just looking through your spike panel right now, and it seems like we have a good number of action potentials, so your brain is working.
Biomedical engineer Bolu Ojiboye is the principal investigator.
We would like to be able to design technology that records from the brain, bypasses the spinal cord injury, and allows the person to control meaningful movements of their hands, such as positioning their arm in space, moving individual fingers, being able to grasp different objects so that they can perform many activities of daily living that people take for granted every day.
It begins with brain surgery. Austin Beggin's operation was done by neurosurgeon Jonathan Miller with University Hospitals Cleveland.
So this is the electrode we implant into the brain. As you can see, this is the part that goes in. It's very small. Actually, there was a total of 6 of these that we implant for this particular project, going into 6 different areas of the brain.
But where in the brain? Simply targeting the area that controls the nerves that fire muscles is not enough.
We're interested in the areas of the brain that are responsible for motor planning, for not just the actual individual nerves that control the muscles, but also the neurons that are upstream of those that control what it is that the person wants to do.
In another operation, surgeons implanted electrodes to stimulate Beggin's hand and arm muscles. The surgeries were just the start of a long journey. The team is now busy trying to decipher the myriad of signals from Beggin's brain measured in microvolts.
What we're interested in is the fact that we're not just looking at one cell, we're looking at hundreds of cells. And there's
and this is where you get the pattern.
This is where you get the pattern.
But so if he tried right now to move his finger, some of these panels would light up more than others.
The firing rates would change.
I see.
Right. And that change can, to the naked eye, maybe be a little bit challenging to detect. But our algorithms can detect the change, not just, again, in one neuron, but across the population of neurons.
The algorithms are programs that can identify subtle patterns of brain activity across many neurons linked to specific movements. To improve their accuracy, the team has Beggin play games. He imagines moving his paralyzed arm to match what the animated hand is doing on the screen.
There is learning on both sides, actually. So our algorithms get better and better with more information that we have from the participant. At the same time, there is an opportunity for learning on his end as well.
What they're doing here is unique, But there are several other projects underway aiming to understand the activity of the brain during various functions. Some use brain signals to control robotic arms or enable communication. Austin Beggin's predecessor in this project was Bill Kochevar. In 2014, he became the first person in the world to be able to use this system to control his own limb. He was able to open and close his hand, move his wrist, elbow, and shoulder, but he had no sensory feedback. Giving paralyzed people a sense of touch is biomedical engineer Emily Grotchik's priority.
Very little is known about the neural language of touch in the human brain, and that's something that we hope to study here in this project.
Eventually, they will give Austin Beggin a glove with sensors in the fingertips. The hope is they will send sensory information to his brain implants.
Without sensory feedback, you really don't know how to control the motions that you're producing. You don't know how to control the forces you're exerting on an object or the positioning of your body.
But there is more to touch and motion than that. Something harder to quantify. Something Austin Beggin understands profoundly.
People say, like, what would you love to do? Just, I mean, if I could actively shake someone's hand, I mean, what would be, well, I mean, what, you couldn't put a price on that to me.
A lot of the technology this team is refining to help paralyzed individuals came out of a lab nearby, one focused on a disability that is part of my reality. In my next story, I'll show you how amputees are learning to feel things through their prosthetic limbs. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Miles O'Brien.
Such fascinating research. We'll have that follow-up report from Miles next Wednesday.